Okay.
Okay, welcome to Meet the Voter, meetthevoter.com, episode 36. Today we have three things going. First of all, we have a mass shooting in Orlando, Florida, which we'll go into shortly. We have a special guest today, Tom Heck, candidate for United States Senate, who just put out a lot of mail and has an election on Tuesday. Thank you, Tom, for coming on. We have Jonathan Denwood from Carson City, and he's our he is our Christian Social Democrat. We have Heather Havenwood, who's in a hotel out in Dallas across from the stadium, who is have too good of a time and is too relaxed. And she is
too relaxed. I haven't watched the news for 48 hours. You know how many times I wanted to pick it up and go, I should watch the news. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Hey, before we get into the shooting and into the elections, Tom, how's your election going? What is happening at the election on Tuesday?
Well, I think it's going well. I was on Channel News on Thursday, Channel 8 News in Reno. They were talking about, Heck's going to win.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday, I was doing another thing with one of the radio stations, America Matters, and I think it's going good. I think it's resonating with the voters because the voters really are looking for a true conservative. I'm that conservative. Voters are tired of the career politicians who talk one way and vote another. And I think right now I'm on the ballot as Sad Tom because I'm sad that voters are so angry about what's going on. And today's another example of what the Democrats are doing to us and all this political correctness. If you listen to Ben Carson this morning, talked about that political correctness.
Well, here's your opponent right here. And FYI, if you had a little bit more time and you would have picked this up, this is a gray area right here because he's still in the military and he's got his uniform on. It's a gray area. You can attack him. I mean, it's sort of put it under the bush, but you can actually the press starts talking when somebody brings that up. That is a way to get press. But especially with your background being an Air Force Academy grad. Jonathan, you can't you're not supposed to put a uniform on.
Well, I just think it's disgusting that he would utilize his service for his country and hint that somehow that makes him a superior political candidate. I think it's disgusting.
Well, it shows service and duty. You can do it.
It just shows service and duty. I don't think it's
just me. I wouldn't do it, but
I'm proud of my service. I'd put it on there to understand that people that I've had a life of service of 31 years of active and reserve. Tom, same thing with you. I mean, I think Tom you'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I think the military they grew up under a different kind of environment that makes them tough, makes them determined, and they're really outcome focused. A lot of the politicians are focused on, I voted for this. Well, just because they voted for it doesn't mean it's going to work. So I think this military experience, I said 22 years in the military, but I also worked for 4 municipalities, a county, and I ran the logistics at the Reagan Ballistic Missile Test Site before I came back to Reno to do this.
Yeah, that's for those who know, that's in the Marshall Islands, and Bimini is one of those islands where they blew off the bomb. So anyway, let's go on to the next topic real fast around the table. Jonathan, what do you think about the shooting today? We talked a little bit about it in Orlando. We have reported 50 have been shot, and there's 50 wounded.
Yeah, I just want to say that my heart goes out to the victims and their families, to also the security forces that had to put their life on hand in dealing with this maniac. And to the people of Orlando that don't really deserve 50 to 100 plus of their citizens just to be slaughtered and seriously injured. And I just will pray for them in about an hour's time. So that's
sure, yeah, across the country, I'm sure people are. Tom, what do you think of today's activity, especially running?
Well, again, people are too politically correct. This is not something you can take lightly. The Obama administration has said that this is not terrorist problems. We're getting worse and worse. The last one in San Bernardino was 20, 25 people. Now we're at 50 people, and this guy knew what he was doing. Wait till the bombs start popping off and we don't do something about this.
Tom, I'm going to follow up to that. You're military. I'm military. I was Green Beret Special Forces, and then doing counterterrorism training and civil military operations Afghanistan. It is very difficult to go in and kill 50 people anywhere with one person and one pistol and AR. when you reload, there's opportunity for people to rush. And as soon as people get shot, people will have adrenaline. They will rush. This guy was highly, highly trained to do what he did. That's my speculation. That's the only thing I'm really speculating from the outside. Highly trained to do what he did. And can you imagine how many rounds he must have been carrying on him?
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
And I'm sorry, Heather. I obviously still all the details of this terrible event are not that clear. As a previous individual mentioned, before you started cursing me, Bill, is that that individual had almost 3 hours in that building. And we don't know precisely what went on in those 3 hours.
Yeah, but Jonathan, even 3 hours to contain people like that many people, it's and he had Can I go ahead? He knew what he was doing. And bottom line, he knew what he was doing. He had the right time.
Some stats here that it's started around 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then around 5 a.m. authorities sent in the SWAT team to rescue hostages. So it looks like he not only shot with an automatic rifle, but he also had a pistol. He had both. And that he did hold hostages. What I find interesting about this, for me as a gun advocate, okay, as I find it interesting in all these shootings, first it's one is the kids and then it's in a movie theater. They always have the same rifle, and I feel like it's planted, and I it's a horrible tragedy, but I just feel like it's being planted to for an intention to keep our gun rights away. Now, this isn't a club. This is at 2 o'clock in the morning. People are drinking. They're having a good time. They're relaxed. You know what I mean? They're just chilling out.
They're intoxicated. A lot of people.
They're intoxicated. I mean, you know what I mean? They're, maybe they're doing some other stuff. They're not in a place of fight or flight. They're not in that mode of attack or being attacked. And so it was definitely what I call on victims. You know what I mean? It's like going to school.
There was an armed police officer there, I believe.
Yeah, and so his name is Omar Mateen of Port St. Lucie, which is near Orlando. And that, I just find it kind of interesting that it came almost 48 hours. I find it 48 hours after the Ninth Circuit Court of California stated that, basically against the Second Amendment. So I find that kind
of concealed carry. That's the ninth, that you don't have a right for concealed carry.
Correct.
First off,
I find that interesting.
This was a semi-automatic AR-15, according to the news.
Right.
If that's accurate. And if you have somebody with CCW there to fire back at him, that's when they don't shoot it straight. And so what people don't understand, 5 people, one person with the CCW at that location firing rounds at that guy, his accuracy would be cut by 75%.
Or more. Yeah, I mean, John, I know how difficult it is on to do that. I mean, I've been trained to go into rooms with 4-man teams and things of that nature. It just to kill that many people, something is more. There's more that meets the story here.
Okay, so Dree, MU, whoever you are, it's not about emotionless. It's thinking about something rational and what the situation is. I don't have to get all cry-eyed and freaking out and yelling at people to feel like it's a tragedy. Okay, so I don't know what you're talking about, emotionless, Heather. It's just that I look at things from a bigger perspective, and then it's not one thing. It's connected. There's something else going on. That's all. I'm just not sure what that is. That's how I view it. Yeah. I'm not emotionless about the situation.
Yeah, I just like to respond to the other two on the panel. First of all, I don't agree with Heather or Thomas, but Heather normally. There's a lot of the positions that Heather states that I don't agree with, but she does put to the chat room and to the people listening this, in general, Heather does put logical arguments. I don't agree with a lot of them, but her positions are reasonable. Where I disagree with the 2 other panelists, Bill, is that their philosophy with dealing with violence is that we must arm society to a higher level, that we can deal with this violence by having guards in schools, in cinemas, in nightclubs. We need more weaponry to stop slaughter. I just don't agree with that philosophy and that political outlook.
Well, didn't they use the police to stop them? Eventually, they had to use power or weapons to stop them.
Yeah, SWAT team at 5 a.m.
So I mean, you had to wait for the SWAT team to show up.
That's a 3-hour gap.
Well,
What I find interesting,
as soon as people are killed, I believe you normally go in immediately, don't you, Tom?
now you guys are military. That's a long time.
No, as soon as people are killed and that many people killed, you rush, you go in. Even with hostages, you have to go in immediately with force because he's already killed people. He's going to kill more people.
Isn't that a long time to be able to what I call hold people hostage and stay in there as a gunman?
Especially
3 hours. You would think he would be like, okay, I did my goal here, and I'm get to get the hell out. Why would he stick around for 3 hours?
But generally, they don't plan on leaving. They're going to kill until then and create terror. This is creating terror. If you don't deal with it, we're going to lose our way of life. We can't go to ball games. We can't go to concerts.
You can't go to
Somehow
church.
you got to control this, and it's a sickness.
I always am concerned about large crowds and looking around at different situations and where you are, no matter where you are in the United States, especially after 9/11, and I worked with threat analysis. I mean, I can't really talk about some of the scenarios, but there's some terrible scenarios out there that were undercover. They uncovered. They stopped.
See, I think, because I come from England originally, I'm an American citizen now as well. And I lived under most of my early adult life. I lived under the threat of terrorism because I lived in London, and we lived for over 25 years under, assassination and bombings from a group that were based in Northern Ireland, who had a political agenda, and they utilised violence to promote there. So, and also, we've lived under the threat of Islamic terrorism for a period of time in London as well. You got to accept, how do you deal with this scenario? Do you increase internal security, which has the consequence of removing personal liberty? Do you increase the capacity of the security forces to a level where it does encroach a lot on your civil liberties, or do you look at other solutions? But you've got choices, haven't you?
That's the guy.
Yeah, this is Omar Mateen, 29-year-old U.S.-born citizen, lives in St. Lucie County, Florida, has been identified. Mateen's father suggests gay hate drove Orlando shooter, not Islam. End quote.
There's plenty of hate out in the world, isn't there? Everybody, if your heart is filled with disgust and hate towards other people, you can always find good excuses to butcher them, Bill.
Jonathan, you realize there are countries who will execute people who are gay?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
And what religion based are they?
Yeah.
Islam.
Islam, but I've got to point out to you that in Uganda, if you're found to be gay openly, the consequences for you are not pleasant, Bill. So, and there's other so-called Christian dominated societies or other ideologies that do not treat gay people or other minorities really very well, Bill.
Okay, there's 77 countries where it is illegal. I mean, we studied this, and I can show you a little picture of those countries.
So real quickly, I find it interesting that the Orlando police just went live on Periscope. Now, I haven't watched the video here, but I find it interesting. It just ended.
Yeah, their press conference wasn't too impressive this morning.
Well, this might be a new one. It just ended, like while we're talking.
By the way, on the executions, I want to correct that. I just know there's 77 countries, around 70 countries, who outlaw, and it varies from place to place, and usually done by small elements. Mozambique, Daesh. Daesh, of course, is probably the most. That's where you're going to have executions. Daesh, which is only recognized by 2 countries right now. Daesh is ISIS.
I know. I find this interesting. They posted the Kevlar helmet that the police officer was wearing when he got shot.
Yeah. You're kidding me. I know. I've heard of that. I heard that.
That's interesting, right?
I've seen a Kevlar helmet with a bullet hit it.
But the police? Like, when did the police get Kevlar?
Oh, they've had Kevlar a long time.
Well, they're paramilitary to a high extent, aren't they, Bill? But I did point out to you over 6-7 months ago that I felt that these violent outbursts will only get worse as long during this election and afterwards. And I predicted that there were going to be a number of these attacks, and they would increase in severity. And I stand by my position, Bill.
I think, well, standing on that position, I think you're probably right. The challenge with that is that I think that it actually, in a very sad way, this helps Hillary because she's anti-gun. And I
don't think this is going to help Hillary at all.
I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think. Well, first of all, let's go into that. We've been talking for 15 minutes. Let's talk the last 5 minutes about the race and what's happening. Hillary, of course, supposedly has the race wrapped up for the Democrats and
supposedly
and Trump. Let me tell you, though, a lot of stuff came out in the email in the last 2 weeks. If you just look and pay attention from the State Department's IG report, that it's come out now that she paid $5,000 to the IT tech, who's actually took the fifth even after receiving immunity, but he was paid to bridge. Tom, you'll understand this: bridge from classified to unclassified system. He actually bridged stuff. He bridged messages back and forth. You have to manually take a disk or CD or hard drive to bridge stuff. You just can't connect the two because you would find out right away.
Can I say something quickly, Bill?
Yeah.
Because I've got to be off in a minute. I have decided to join the DC to DNC march on the 15th of July. And we're trying, and I'll put the link into chat. We're going to attempt to bring back democracy to this country and put our lives. I believe in non-violent protest, and I believe in the Constitution of America. And we know the response of the Philly police will be violence towards us. They're going to billy club us, pepper spray us, and they will state that we cause violence. We are a non-violent organisation that will use non-violence to disrupt this undemocratic DNC meeting, and we will attempt to recapture democracy back for the American people. And thousands of us will go on this march, and we're determined to use non-violence to disrupt this undemocratic convention and force a situation that will be comparable to the 1968 convention and bring to the American people the truth about this undemocratic party and their undemocratic candidate who's a criminal, Bill.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, that's Hillary. You're talking about Hillary on the criminal side. She's criminal. Not, you know what? I put a little bleep out in Facebook, and I said this little quote.
I'm going on this march, and on the 15th of July, and I know I'm going to put they will billy club me, and please pray for me because I know the violence that's going to be used against us is going to be extreme. You nod your head. You know what the Philly police reputation is like. They're a violent group of people, and they will meet us with violence, Bill. But
so you're going to Philadelphia for this?
And we're going to march to DC, and we're going to.
Wow, you're going to go from Philly to DC?
No, from DC to Philly.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
march.
We're going to disrupt this conference, and there's going to be thousands of us, Bill.
Well, Jonathan, I don't unless you're crazy. I don't know anybody in the United States who is for violence, and the kind of protest you're talking about is the right one. What's that, Tom?
especially the military people are always opposed to violence.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
I mean, you have to be a wacko.
We will be met with violence, Bill. We will be billy clubbed. We will be peppered sprayed. We will be made out to be violent people. But you know that I'm not a violent person.
When that happens, Jonathan, people are actually attacking back in these days, at least. I mean, there's so many cameras and so much information out there. Look, we'll have to see. I mean, we're all for violence is something we don't do. We only use violence against violence, period.
Well,
that's the only time you have authority to use violence.
I don't know what to say to you, but I'm going to go now because I don't want to take over this conversation.
That's very good. Very good.
All right, and I'll see you later, folks.
We're going to finish up here in a second. Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. So that wraps up. I'll bring this one person. I'm going to pause here for a second. And we've got Dakota on. We'll talk the next couple minutes. Dakota, we'll give you a couple minutes to talk about the elections and what do you think about the violence here in the United States?
Well, I was told about it from my friend at the Home Office. I got a text about, and I think it's a tragedy, seriously, 50 lives.
At least,
From what I understand, it's the most bloodiest mass shooting in the States in its history. And on behalf of myself and my family, I extend the condolences from one Scottish family to the United States. And I can't believe it. I mean, men, women, and children, seriously, it's...
I don't think there are any children there because it was 9
Oh, there's not any children.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning in Orlando, so no women. But, I mean, the numbers are just coming out. They said 20 and now 50 wounded.
My mate at the Home Office said there were some children. There was a children texting. Did anyone hear about that?
Yeah, it's the misinformation. I can't imagine at 2 in the morning that there are any kids out.
Okay. I have to talk to him then because I got my information from him. So,
Yeah.
But no. No, from what I understand, I have to laugh. This democratic election process, it reminds me of a lot of a by-election and how the parties, you know, you got your Labour, which is the Republicans. You got your Tories, which is the Democrats. I mean, it's going to be one massive election. It's going to be a dirty election too. So
I'm not sure that, you know what, until they're nominated, I'm not sure either party truly has their straight nomination. Trump probably has more chance of Republican side. Hillary, though, has this FBI investigation, and after the IG report, it's pretty clear that she broke the law. Tom, I want to say one thing before we finish up here for the recorded part. I put this tweet out, and I should read it exactly like I put it out if I can find it. But it said something like,
Hey, guys.
I want to read this, what I put out here real fast if I can find it. I wrote a tweet, and it was sort of exactly how I felt. But let me summarize what I said. Basically, I said, if I was a civil affairs officer with a TSSCI, I had about 50, 60 people work for me. I had 2 IT managers working for me. And my IT manager had taken the TSSCI with a polytest. And if I'd had him, or if I'd paid him $5,000 to have my classified lines sent to my iPhone or my BlackBerry, I had an iPhone, but Hillary had a BlackBerry. If I'd done that, paid him $5,000 to have the classified material off our SCIF sent to my email, I would be in Leavenworth within a year.
that's like the Home Secretary leaving a red box. I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, that's what she did. She paid $5,000 to the IT manager who had a top secret security clearance. Some of that top secret actually went into her attorney right away, who did not have an attorney. She also violated FOIA. FOIA is the least of her problems. That in itself is against the law. And as an American, I'm disgusted that any politician would want to not follow FOIA, Freedom of Information Act.
But what's really is that, you know, one of the most critical things that we protect with our classifications is sources and methods. And she had emails on sources and methods that put, you know, our spies at risk, that put some of our critical thought process at risk, and how we do things. It is very problematic and it is very serious. And any military person would already be in jail.
I mean, immediately as it's I've been involved with breaches and security information. And when you're in uniform specifically, you're grabbed that day and you're isolated and you're put in confinement.
Now, I remember the Benghazi attack in 2012.
Yeah, I was on duty.
I was in Downing Street. I was with the Prime Minister when we got a call. And honestly, it's safe to say, I remember the Prime Minister's face when he was told about the embassy attack. first words, and nobody else knows this. It was a private conversation. The Prime Minister had to say, you know, who the bloody hell is responsible for this? And I remember very well when the email scandal broke out and how your former Secretary of State described my former boss. It's safe to say that if she were to get elected as president, any time you see her with him, it's all pretend. I mean, honestly, that woman is such a bigot. I'm sorry. I don't respect her, and I don't respect her policies.
That's Obama.
Yes. Sorry. So I'm listening to
It's
something.
not live.
Yeah.
I
So
think he's going to have.
let me know when you want to ask me a question. If not, I'm just like the poacher.
So
woman
yeah,
over here.
Heather, we'll finish up. Yeah, I want to finish up we'll stay on for a minute, but I want to finish up the recording. I don't like to go more than 25 minutes. Any last thoughts, Heather, on the shooting in the presidential election? And we'll finish with you.
Yeah, so on the shooting specifically, again, I'm just going to reiterate. I think it's quite interesting, the timing of it. I'm interesting that it's an AR-15. I think it's another attack that was planted by someone else to get it, go after the Second Amendment. I believe that. It's been consistent theory. And I'm watching something about Obama actually on his campaign trail when he was against Hillary in 2008. He basically is very negative towards Hillary. I just find it interesting how easy it is to say, oh, now he's 100% supporter of her. And now once again, the campaign trail and be her supporter, be his rah-rah. I think it smells like a dirty diaper. And yet there's people out there, whenever I've heard of different things or people that media ask people, why are you voting for Hillary? What has she done? They play the woman card, like, well, she's a woman. I just find that offensive.
Now, Heather, I have to ask, don't your presidents get top secret security
TSA,
after they leave office? Their successors treat them well.
I don't know after.
The commander-in-chief,
how that works.
you're going to have it. It's going to expire after a period of time. Unless,
okay.
I don't know if after. I can't speak to that. I know during, of course.
Some things you can't disclose for 50 years.
Now, from what
I had my out brief. There's some things I can't talk about for 50 years.
Now, from what I understand, and I was talking about this in the House of Commons commissary with a few friends and Dennis Skinner, MP for Bolsover, we were discussing the fact that Obama probably endorsed Clinton because he wants to be treated well after he gets out of office. Seriously, give up all those.
He's a Democrat. He's gonna endorse whoever wins the primary. He's the leader of the Democrat Party. But that said, it's just baffling about this about this email issue. I mean, anybody in the military, if they just think like I just thought, if I paid $5,000 to one of my IT managers to send the classified material to my BlackBerry or iPhone, I'd be put in jail immediately as soon as.
Well, let me say one last thing to wrap that part up, the email. So in today's age, the weapons of mass destruction is information.
It's a BlackBerry or an iPhone.
It's information. It's what's the information of what's happening. That whoever holds the information is the information of what's really happening. They're the ones at power. And so people don't understand that. People think, oh, it's just email. It's not email. It's information that was basically out in the open.
That's a good way to look at it. It's classified, classified documents.
Out in the open. What is that? Mission Impossible, the knock list is out in the open. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of.
It was backed up in Colorado via the open air.
Let me tell you the other thing too is
I think that's it's out in the open information that anyone can hack. And people don't understand, oh, it's hard to hack email. No, it's not. Especially if it's just a private server. It's not that hard.
Let me tell you what they did, though. What they did was you have a classified net and an unclassed net. And you actually have TS net, too. The class net is all, encrypted. All emails encrypted these days. But anyway, it's triple encrypted. It's encrypted. So what they did is they copied down the email messages on the classified system, burnt them to a drive or CD, moved that CD or drive over to the unclassified side. So the text itself was not encrypted. When you burn it, you can only unencrypt it on, basically it goes from one machine to another. It unencrypts it on the classified machine. At that point, you can burn it because you can take some things that are unclassified. There's a process to move those called bridging over to the unclassified side. But they were moving classified material that was not declassed into the unclassed system. That is espionage, totally against the law. The guy who did it himself, the guy who physically did it, should go to jail for life or 20 years. And then if Hillary directed this, this is just baffling. I just cannot understand why she is not already suspended from running for office.
And certain Americans want to see her as president. That's just insulting. Seriously, what's wrong with your country?
The way she handled intelligence, and we know I was on duty for Benghazi, and the way that intelligence was handled and the misinformation, I can't go into detail, but it's frustrating. And there, there's Tom, there's a lot of people like you and me who understand this to the nth degree how it's treated.
Now, Tom, are you running for the upper house of the
I'm running for the U.S.
America?
Senate, Nevada, because
What's in Nevada?
I mean, the career politicians keep talking one way and voting another, and all this political correctness is getting Americans killed, and we got to stop that.
You ran a good campaign,
too. George Galloway. Yeah.
It's a good question, GRE Mew. I don't know why people are voting for Hillary. It actually makes zero sense to me.
People don't
Heather, I can tell you right now, you just bloody said it. It was the woman card. Seriously, every American that I've met wants a president, just like we had the first female prime minister. Thatcher was a disaster for our country for 11 and a half years. Just imagine what a Clinton presidency from Hillary would do to your country.
You don't have to give me the imagination. I already know that.
We've
already done 8 years.
Hey, folks, I just want to introduce Alex Curtis from Nashville, right? And tell us a little bit about yourself, what your background is, and we'll have you back on Meet the Voter as a panelist.
Sure. Native Nashvilleian, lived in Nashville all my life, born and raised, and currently working in machine-to-machine, the Internet of Things industry.
Really? What do you do on the Internet?
Well, I work for a company called Digi International currently. We sell industrial strength cellular routers, basically, wireless routers. Mm-hmm. Some of my customers are utility companies, large lottery companies, connecting ATMs, meters, any type of, industrial.
So how did you get in that business?
Well, I originally cut my teeth probably 20 years ago working for a small internet service provider here in Nashville, Tennessee, selling internet connectivity and website design services and things like that. And then over the years, I've worked for AT&T, worked for Verizon Wireless, Motorola. So
that world has changed, hasn't it?
It has. I jokingly say, in my world, it's in the wireless technology world, it's kind of like dog years. 1 year in the utility space, it is equivalent to 7 years in the wireless technology space. Yeah. And it's rapidly evolving. And now with, ubiquitous coverage and 4G LTE coverage, it's opening up, the capacity to do more sophisticated things. And, the Internet of Things is a big, huge term that means a lot of things to a lot of different people, right? Whether it's, connecting, smart watches, or, having, utilities, being able to have real-time data from, meters, from smart refrigerators, ordering milk for you when you're out. I mean, it's amazing how fast the technology is changing our lives.
In the refrigerator.
Right.
A gig up and down. I love to see my thermostat on my iPhone. I love that thing for free.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
And with that it's creating a lot of challenges though, to keep it safe and secure, like as the large power companies are looking for ways to secure the smart grid, as they're trying to move away from older legacy technology and to making sure that we have a more intelligent smart grid and making sure it's safe, as you create more complexities, you can create more holes for people to hack into. So it's just.
I'm big into WordPress, so that's good. So in your political views, you lean towards libertarian, conservative, libertarian, Republican type.
Yeah. And I've voted mostly Republican most of my life. Quite honestly, voted for both Bushes, and actually last time Romney. But
I did too.
it's just so different now. I wish there was an emergence of a true other party.
Who did you like in the primary, the Republican primary?
Well, originally, I was more a Cruz guy, I think, just because of his constitutional stances on things. And he was a master debater. You know, he was very sharp. And some of the things that, you know, filibustering and things that he did on the Senate, you know, I had respect for. So, but I had issues with him too. So, but a guy,
at the end, he didn't do well. He came across as mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least he did more than the rest of the Republicans did. And they just rolled over to Obama and let him have whatever he wanted.
And I think Rubio is still a good, solid candidate. His time's going to come, probably 8 to 10 years from now. He's probably going to be somebody that's going to be a very viable candidate to run for president. You know, I can see that in the future for him.
It'll be interesting to see because he gave up a Senate seat. That's huge to give up a Senate seat for 6 years. Yeah, be interesting to see what happens. Hey, I got to run. Okay, I've got to run. I've got folks here, so I'm going to finish up. I'll let you guys talk if you want to, and thank you for coming on Meet the Voter, meetthevoter.com.